Welcome to From Code to Conversations, Building Mistral AI Agents for Cisco Devices. I'm Alexander Stevenson, Technical Advocate at Learning with Cisco. Today's session is involved with 6 particular parts, including an introduction and objectives. After that, we're going to look at Cisco's API partnerships and products. Following that, we're going to take a deeper dive into Mistral's AI, API, and agent architecture. After that, we're going to have an implementation walkthrough of the AI API, and then we're going to build on that by integrating the Mistral AI agent into our workflow. Finally, we're going to conclude with a thorough analysis of Cisco and Mistral's partnership and how it sparks innovation for the enterprise. The session objectives mirror the parts of the session. And the first one is we're going to reflect on the evolution of intelligence and interaction across 4 key domains, including technological, linguistic, physical, and ethical. Then we're going to showcase Cisco's strategic AI partnership so we can better understand where Mistral fits into this picture for the future. Next, we're going to highlight the details and benefits of Mistral's architecture. We're going to look at the API-only approach and then the agent-only approach. And then finally, at the end, we're going to use those both in conjunction and integrate some collaboration through WebEx in our workflow as well. We're going to demonstrate practical AI integration and network optimization so that your net DevOps is supercharged with AI analysis and collaboration. And finally, this session wouldn't be complete unless we had addressed data privacy and ethical considerations, something that is key in every AI endeavor we embark on. Instead of trying to produce a program to simulate the adult mind, why not rather try to produce one which simulates the child's? Does anyone know whose quote this is? I'll give you a hint. It's one of the 2 people most commonly referred to as a father of AI. It is Alan Turing. Alan Turing. Recently, I was in New York and I saw the skyline with the skyscrapers that have been erected within the last 100 years, and it gave me pause to consider with a childlike amazement and curiosity what the next 100 years are going to look like. I think that interaction and intelligence and how they evolve is going to be extremely insightful for helping us predict, understand, and guide AI intelligently. My conclusion is that the road ahead is going to be more complex and yet simple. Let's look at the evolution of intelligence and interaction. First of all, we have the technological evolution. We have machine learning, well-defined models, algorithms. Very helpful, can learn, but inflexible. Then we've moved on to deep learning, neural networks, backpropagation, feature extraction. We can now handle complex data, large amounts of data, but yet usually only one type of data. The next step in evolution is going to be multimodal, right? Various types of input all at the same time. We're going to have federated and distributed learning. Take IoT or edge devices, right? A single device may not have the compute, storage, or memory to run a large language model, but in a federated manner, they most certainly can and distribute that knowledge throughout the system. Think how sweet life will be when we have that power in our hands and are surrounded at all times by such intelligence. Next, we have the evolution of terminology. Here we begin with a long-term artificial intelligence. It's even longer than my name, Alexander Stevenson, right? We've already simplified it down to AI. What's next? Intelligence? We're going to drop artificial? Intel? Or how about invisible AI, where we don't even refer to it? It's so ubiquitous, much like a smartphone, the internet, or even electricity, that we just take it for granted as part of our daily lives. Physical evolution. We started with smartphones as opposed to dumb phones, right? Handheld, compute power, worldwide connection. Moving on to virtual reality and augmented reality. fully immersive and localized environments. These are very helpful for certain segments, and we're going to continue to see growth in these areas. But the next step is neural integration, appendages, implants, and then synthetic reality. Fully personalized, adaptive, AI-generated environments that can anticipate your wants, needs, and even emotional state. I hope I'm around for that. And finally, we have the ethical evolution, where we start with the ethical AI. We have to define what's responsible. What is the good way to act towards AI and with AI? Responsible AI is the implementation of ethical AI. So not only conceiving of the guardrails, but starting to put those guardrails in place is much more complex than even trying to guesstimate them or understand what they are. This will lead us to autonomous governance, where AI polices itself. And once we reach this state of evolution across all key domains, it will truly free us up and unburden us to reach our highest potential, to evolve to our higher state. And if we do not do so, in pace with technology, we're setting ourselves up for more struggle in the end. So it's best that we start doing this now. As soon as it works, no one calls it AI anymore. This harkens back to the terminology evolution we saw on the previous slide. This is from John McCarthy. He's the second person most commonly referred to as the father of AI. And he knows more than anyone, not only because he's the father of AI regarding terminology, because he coined the term artificial intelligence. So we can see the direction where this is heading. Cisco's AI partnerships and products. Before we dive into the API and AI agent architecture, let's take a key look at some of the strategic AI partners Cisco has so we can see where Mistral fits into the picture. For AI accelerated networking and infrastructure, which company is that? It begins with an N. NVIDIA, right? AI enhanced collaboration and productivity. Skype? What do you think? No, they were end of service last month. It is Google Cloud. And finally, for generative AI, it's Mistral. Let's look at some of the products where NVIDIA and Google Cloud are already implemented and integrated. NVIDIA is in Catalyst Center, UCS, HyperFlex, and SecureX, where Google Cloud is in Contact Center and WebEx. There are more partnerships than just this. Microsoft also has an AI partnership with Cisco, and many other products, including Splunk, Thousand Eyes, AppDynamics. I could go on and on and on with the products that have AI and machine learning integrated, but these are some of the key partners so far. Now, you might ask, which products is Mistral integrated into? None yet. I'm not sure it will be either, so I can't speak officially on that, but none yet so far. However, I can surmise that if Mistral is integrated into a product, it will either be in troubleshooting, log analysis, or network optimization. But what we do have is the AI renewals agent that came out this year. Co-developed by Mistral and Cisco, this is the first agent in their pipeline. This one is for customer experience, and it has already been proven, or estimated to be more accurate, to reduce this time spent building a customer proposal in CX down by 20%. It also offers strategic on-premises deployment to satisfy your data privacy, security, and compliance needs. So look for more partnerships between Cisco and Mistral. Definitely in the agent pipeline, we're going to see some more. Mistral's AI, API, and agent architecture. These are two separate things, but yet the same. Because we have the AI API, which we can use on our own, we're going to see that. Then we're going to see the AI agent. But they both use the general API architecture. So we're going to start with the API so we better understand the complete architecture. And we're also going to build some redundancy and resiliency into our scripts when we do this. All right, this first script here, this is for the API. We're not even working with the agent yet. We need to understand how the API works to get the most out of the agent. Here we have a system prompt. Most people here know what a system prompt. Mistral calls it an instruction. I like that because it differentiates it from a regular prompt fully. Here you are an expert network automation platform DevOps and security engineer. Ooh, if only, if only. All right, take the device output. We're SSHing into various Cisco devices. We're taking the output along with our commands, and we're going to append it on the end of this system prompt, this instruction, and we're going to send it to the next function. By the way, this system prompt is extremely important. We're going to see how big of a difference it makes what we say. Here we're high level. It's going to give us a very high level response. Okay, next up, we're going to feed that into this function. Here we're defining the hyperparameters. I chose the Mistral model. It's a free model. By the way, everything that we're using in this session today is completely free, from signing up with Mistral, using the API, agent, and so forth. I defined the role as a user, and I'm taking the combined input from the previous function, feeding it into the hyperparameters, setting the max tokens at 2,000 so that the response isn't too long. Handle exceptions, and the third and final function we have here is to save the insights for future use. It's always best practice, right, to save device information. But here it's especially key. We're going to take the device name, timestamp, and outputs. We're also going to append the summary we get back from the AI API on the end. This is because the AI API is not persistent. So every time we speak with it, we need to give it context. So we need to have files that we can reference to say, here, this was the previous state, right? You might be asking yourself, why even use the API then? It's not persistent. Well, we've already discussed that it's the natural developer pipeline to begin with the API, and it will help us understand the whole architecture, but also provides redundancy because this script will run first, the API script. After that, we'll take the output and build an agent and have a conversation with the agent. If the agent pipeline is down, at least we still have the response from the API. If the API pipeline is down, the AI API, at least we have the agent we can converse with. I found this very beneficial in my operations. So, for the AI API, we SSH to the devices, or reach out to them however you will. Aggregate the output, send it to Mistral, have it back and displayed. One request, one response. As we're going to see in constrained environments, this is extremely invaluable. Now let's talk about the agent architecture, right? The agent has three key objects. An agent is task-specific AI with predefined settings. Conversations are usually between a person or a user and the AI, but can be between AIs, agent to agent as well. So have fun with that. And entries are what conversations are composed of. An entry is every single response or input that you have. Customization parameters. This is what makes the API more robust besides just having a persistent conversation. We can choose between models one time at the beginning. We can have the use of tools such as web search and code interpreter. Instructions are provided one time, although you can update them as much as you want with the agent. And you have completion arguments, so you can fine-tune top P, temperature, max tokens, things like this. We're going to take a deeper look a little bit later into how much more robust this actually is than the API, but this is what the agent is offering, off the shelf. All right, API implementation walkthrough. Let's get our feet wet. We're going to sign up with Mistral. We're going to get an API key. We're going to interact with La Plateforme. Okay, Mistral's a French company, so instead of standing up here and trying to say La Plateforme and Le Chat, I'm going to say La Plateforme and Le Chat. I think you understand what I mean, okay? So, sign up for Mistral, configure La Plateforme, and work with the code. We go to Mistral.ai, click Try the API, click Sign Up, verify your email, and create an organization is the first thing that you're going to do. Enable multi-factor authentication, people. Let's be responsible here. Complete the setup, log into the platform, and get your API key. This is what it looks like. So at this point, we've just verified our email, and we go to security and access, sign up for the MFA, open the platform, and let's get the API key. Not yet. We need to sign up for a plan. Let's get the free one on the left. All right. And on the left, we're going to sign up for the API keys. Click in the upper right, create a new key. Name your key, set the expiration date, create a new key, and don't forget to copy and save it. The use cases for using the API in constrained environments and overall are for proactive network monitoring, configuration auditing, security analysis, inventory and documentation. These are much more than the initial three that we defined, right? Initially I said troubleshooting, log analysis, and network optimization. As we can see, it's much more involved than that. And even the simple script that I have here today, not even the agent, but even the API version, we still get all of this. It's extremely invaluable. All right, prerequisites. You're going to need some Cisco devices. I use the DevNet sandboxes and the Cisco modeling labs I have running in my home lab, right? But you can use whatever you want. You're going to need credentials. I needed SSH credentials to run this, a Mistral AI account and API key, a Python environment, and a source of truth YAML file. There's a repo you're going to see towards the end. I'm going to share you the URL, the repo that I designed that runs all of this. But you just basically clone the repo, set up the virtual environment, place your API key, or install dependencies rather first, install your API key, edit the source of truth, run the code, and observe Mistral's analysis in the terminal and in the save file. This is what it looks like. Running the API here, I get the raw analysis, and at the end is appended the summary we get back from Mistral. Here's what we see in the terminal. Because it's such a high-level unicorn engineer that we defined, we get a very high-level response. Deviations, inconsistencies, suggestions for improvement. There's no commands that we can copy. There's no low-level telling us exactly what to do. This is a very high overview because we chose the 10x engineer for our system prompt. Okay, with a single device, we can get the operational state, configurations, logs, potential issues, vulnerabilities, and on and on and on. When we have multiple devices, we also get the common configurations, deviations, and big picture suggestions for our environment. We're going to see exactly what this looks like. Here is multi-device analysis. All right, I defined the second device in Cisco Modeling Labs. Typing with my super slow typing. And the first thing it's going to do is SSH into the devices, get the output. All right, let me fast forward through this. Okay, individual device. Device 1. Potential issues, device 2, potential issues. Combined analysis, that's key. So when we have more than one device, we can easily get combined analysis. This is very helpful. All right, great. And then finally, we have the final output file, which has all of the responses from the devices, as well as the summary of our analysis from the AI API. Okay, when to use the API instead of an agent? No persistent memory or local storage, security and compliance restraints, stateless or short-lived interactions, as well as streaming or event-based middleware is in place, prohibiting your ability to use the AI agent in a persistent manner. Finally, onto building the agent. We got through the API. It's key to get that foundation in, all right? So once we start building with the API, or with the agent rather, we can see we have some key advantages across these 4 areas. In customization, we can define the behavior once or update it as much as we want. We have persistent conversations with the agent. The agent is a specialist with a fixed role and instructions. If you don't tell the API every time what its role is, it will just give you generic responses. Whereas the agent already knows from the jump, hey, I'm doing this. This is my expertise. This is what I will provide no matter what. And agents can be extended with tools and enhanced capabilities. There are 2 ways to create an agent with Mistral, with code or the platform. Each has its advantages. For code, we have automation, version control, programmatic access and integration, flexibility. And with the platform, we have ease of use, low or no code, visual feedback, and a dedicated chat assistant called LaChat that is initialized based on the instructions or system prompt. It's very helpful. We're going to see that shared through a WebEx space here in a moment. Create a non-persistent troubleshooting agent via code. That's right. Even an agent can be non-persistent. Sometimes we need the advantage of an agent, but we just want one-shot communication. One request, one response. We save the agent ID, save the conversation ID, and then run it again at a later time. One shot, right? So this is sort of a middle path between the API implementation and the full agent implementation. Here this time I said, you're a network troubleshooting assistance, please give me practical advice. And we're going to see how important those instructions are here in a second. I said, please tell me how to implement role-based access control to limit access to the devices that you see in the output. And it comes back with you see commands here, right? We can copy and paste. So as I was saying, the instructions are very important. It will literally dictate the entire direction of the conversation. Okay, now building an agent with the platform through the GUI. Click agents on the left, create a new agent. Here's where we define our instructions. Instead of in the code, right here, select the model, the randomness, or temperature. And here we can have few shot prompts. We can put questions and ideal answers to give it some additional training. We can even test out the model right here by asking it questions and see if we like it. We click deploy, and on the next screen, we see we get the agent ID and the URL for LaChat. As I was saying, LaChat, the in-browser assistant, is generated based on these instructions. So the more instructions you give it, the more it will be able to assist your entire team, whoever has the URL. Copy and save those. And now we're going to see the final implementation. All right. So first we're going to run the API, and at the end we're calling the second script that's building the agent. I define the keys, the instructions, temperature, top P, some severity keywords, because if it crosses a certain severity threshold, either in the analysis or the output, it's going to ping a certain person on the team one-to-one through WebEx and say, hey, we have a critical issue in our network. That's extremely beneficial. All right, so we get the same API, the redundant response from the API. I scroll through that. All right, I want to see what the agent has to say. Okay, I asked the agent, what are the last 5 files that I sent you? Right here. Please list the last 5 files that I sent you. I want to see how persistent this conversation is. But guess what? This was the first time I built this agent, so there was no context. It looked through the previous outputs and found the ones with the dates and said, these are the ones that you sent the last 5 times, even though I had no previous interaction with the agent. It thought ahead and understood that those output meant that there was a conversation at a previous point with another agent. How it did that, I don't know. But it let everyone in the team know through WebEx that we performed an analysis and Alexander was pinged 1-to-1 because a critical issue was detected. And here's the message I got with a link to the chat where I can ask it anything I want. Obviously, the more information you put in here about the network, the more it's going to know. So this is a very simple and easy script that anyone can implement into their network and get analysis for free. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So our approach was script first thinking for fast iteration. Get this thing running. Agent modularity for encapsulated intelligence. Messaging to keep humans in the loop. We always need to keep humans in the loop with AI. Let's not forget that. For streamlining suggestions, we could unify the scripts into a CLI agent runner. We can refactor into reusable modules. We can connect to devices simultaneously with threading or asyncio. We can integrate NetMiko or PyATS, push to observability platforms, or use event-driven architecture like SNMP traps, syslog, or webhooks to kick off this entire process automatically. Okay, this is very important. I'm glad y'all stuck around because we need to understand how important this partnership between Cisco and Mistral really is. Cisco has 3 global innovation centers for AI. Mistral's in Paris, France, one of them. The others, Bangalore and San Jose. But when we look at the major centers for AI innovation and the regional hubs, do you see a pattern forming here? Paris, France is directly in the center of all of those. Mistral brings enterprise-ready generative AI with frontier models. Because it has to abide by the stringent EU data governance, it is positioned to provide a strategic edge with ethical AI for Cisco and set Cisco apart with its focus on security, scalability, and responsible innovation. I must be totally transparent here. You should read the fine print when you're working with Mistral or any AI company. Mistral will retain data. With the agent, it's for 30 days. With the AI API, it's until you delete the account. So it will not keep personally identifiable information because of the GDPR, but any other information you send it, just be wary. That's the trade-off, right? We can build in the data center. It's more difficult sometimes, but we get the control, total control of our data. Whereas it's more easy to use these companies, right? But there's a trade-off. Sometimes they're going to have our data. So just be wary. I want to be fully transparent. Mistral brings startup agility and open source DNA to help Cisco be an open and fast moving AI partner. We just touched the tip of the iceberg with Mistral today. They have inference containers, load balancing, security and resilience, and on. Comprehensive tooling, including fine-tuning, embedding, function calling, distillation, where we have transfer knowledge, right? We can transfer what we like from one model and easily build another model through their system. Monitoring, safety controls, and look at all these models, multimodal, region-specific, edge, free. I think the most important column on this slide is the deploy anywhere. We can deploy self-hosted, Mistral Cloud, cloud providers, spanning edge, VPC, on-prem, AWS, Azure, it goes on and on and on. They also offer custom AI services, so you can work with them for custom training. They process billions of tokens daily across thousands of GPUs, and they offer freedom, right? France gave us the Statue of Liberty, did they not, right? So they're offering us freedom in how we work with AI, how we build with AI, and their partnership with Cisco has a bright future, in my opinion. Here are some helpful links. I've included the docs, a link to La Chat, La Platform, a recent blog that came out just within the last month about building agents, Here's the repo if you want to use my code. It's on the Code Exchange, Cisco Code Exchange. Check it out if you ever get a chance. And don't forget CiscoU for curated AI learning. We have tutorials, labs, videos, certification preparation, free tiers to get started. I highly recommend CiscoU for anyone that's interested. Don't forget to complete your session surveys. If you miss a session, there's Cisco Live on Demand. We have a special Learn with Cisco AI skills survey that my boss Kareem made me put here. So please fill out this survey so that he'll know I'm a good employee. Kareem, can you hear me? And I also run a WebEx space called the AI Daily Dose, where we discuss a AI term every day. Anyone with WebEx can join. It's totally free and fun. So please join that space. We have around 250 members now, most of them from Cisco. Some of the leading minds are members of this space. So please join the conversation and contribute. That's all I have for today. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.